Hello and welcome to our December Naifa Live. I am Brendan Burnett, and today we are presenting Bob Berg, author of The Go-Giver. We have an outstanding presentation for you today, and Bob will be remaining after the presentation for live Q&A in breakout rooms with you, the audience. And now I'd like to introduce John D. Richardson, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. And now Naifa CEO Kevin Mayu will present his Naifa update.
Hello, Naifa Nation, and welcome to our December 2021 Naifa Live event. We just wrapped up several very impactful days in our nation's capital when we held our inaugural National Leadership Conference in Washington, D.C. Part of that was also our Belong Banquet, where we celebrated the successes we've had as an association throughout the past year, talked about our plans for the future, and elected our new leadership, which will take office and lead Naifa into the year ahead. I want to congratulate our new president, Larry Holzberg, President-elect Brian Holtz, Secretary Tom Cothran, our immediate past president, Tom Michael, and of course, our Naifa treasurer, Brock Jolly, and look forward to working with each of them in the year ahead as they serve as our Naifa Executive Committee. I'm also looking forward to working with our incredible group of volunteers that make up Naifa's Board of Trustees. Congratulations on your election. We're looking forward to the tremendous leadership you're going to provide our association, and I'm looking forward to the great things we're going to do together, volunteers and staff alike, helping advance Naifa and do good things for our members from coast to coast. Also, during the course of our National Leadership Conference, we were joined by more than 250 Naifa chapter leaders from our chapters all around this country, where we provided some training and an opportunity for them to put in place their game plans for the new year as we start implementing year 2 of the Naifa 2025 strategic plan. We also recognized some of our best and brightest through some key Naifa awards. We recognized all those that achieved the National Quality Award throughout the past year and those who earned Naifa's LACP, Life and Annuity Certified Professional certification in 2021. We awarded our Diversity Champion Award to Chad Cooper, our Young Advisor Team Leader of the Year Award to Brian Haney. We honored those selected by Advisor Today as our 4 under 40 award recipients: Cal Anderson, Joanna DeLosa, Rebecca Schulter, and Stephen Walker. We also awarded our inaugural Terry Headley Lifetime Defender Award to Bob Roach. I want to thank everybody who contributed to our leadership and our success in 2021, especially those who also were there to help out our IFA PAC and our activities, both on the federal and state levels all across this country. Thank you for giving in 2021 and helping to make sure that Naifa can influence public policy in every state house and at Washington, D.C. We also unveiled during the course of that conference our new 2022 professional development event, formerly known as P+P. I hope you will all mark your calendars for the Naifa Apex Conference, which will be held August 16th through the 18th, 2022 at the beautiful Arizona Biltmore in Phoenix, Arizona. It's going to be an incredible experience that's totally been redesigned and reimagined to help you be an absolutely incredible sales professional, serving your clients well and doing well in the profession itself. As we talked about a second ago, IFA PAC had a successful year in 2021, but as we move into 2022, which is an election year, it's even more important that we do our best to encourage our fellow Naifa members to contribute to IFA PAC. Political action and political contributions are critical because they help amplify Naifa's voice while Congress is debating major issues such as what they're doing right now with the reconciliation package and lots of other stuff that impacts the way that you, other Naifa members and advisors do business. In 2022, we're pushing hard to get 20% of our Naifa membership to be active IFA PAC contributors because numbers matter, donations matter, political voice and capital matters, you matter, and Naifa matters when it comes to serving everyday citizens all across this country. If you're not yet an IFA PAC contributor, I encourage you to do so. We need your engagement, your participation, and your help to help us amplify that voice in state houses all across this country and in Washington, D.C. And we presented the industry's highest honor, the John Newton Russell Memorial Award, to Robalyn Abadi, a former president of WIFS and the MBRT Foundation, along with being a longtime member and leader within Naifa, Louisiana. For all of you, happy holidays, and take it away, Bob. We're looking forward to hearing your remarks. Thank you.
One of the most discouraging questions a financial professional will ever have to ask themselves is, who do I talk to next now that my list of high quality prospects is running out? However, what if that never had to be a challenge? What if you continually had a list, high quality, endless prospects, and endless referrals? How much more fun? How much less stressful? How much more profitable would your business be? Over the next 50 minutes or so, let's look at 5 principles that will help us get much, much closer to that goal. And we're going to do it the Go Giver way. Shifting your focus, and this is really where it all begins, shifting your focus from getting to giving. And now, when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others, understanding that doing so is not only a more pleasant way of conducting business, it's the most financially profitable way as well. And not for any way out there, woo-woo, magical, mystical type of reasons. It actually makes very logical, very rational sense. When you think about it, when you're that person who can take your focus off of yourself and place it on serving others, discovering what they need, what they want, what they desire. When you can move your focus off of yourself and onto helping others solve their problems, their challenges, when you can focus on helping other people come closer to happiness, people feel good about you. People want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you. They want to be in a relationship with you. They want to do business with you. They want to talk about you to others. They want to refer you and introduce you to others. Let's look at these 5 principles then that work together in conjunction, all 4, not 1, 2, 3, or even 4 of them, or all 5 rather, that will help you get to this point. We call them the 5 laws of stratospheric success. The first one is the law of value. And the law of value says your true worth, in the business sense, of course, your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Now, when you first hear that, it's a little counterintuitive sounding, isn't it? I mean, give more in value than I take in payment sounds like a recipe for bankruptcy. So we simply have to understand the difference between price and value. Price is a dollar figure. It's a dollar amount. It's finite. It is what it is. Value, on the other hand, is the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something, to the end user or beholder. In other words, what is it about this thing, this product, service, concept, protection, investment, plan, what have you, that brings so much worth or value to another human being that they will willingly exchange their money for it and be ecstatic that they did, while you make a very healthy profit. For example, as a financial professional, and I realize, I'm talking to professionals who have different disciplines and different categories of what you do. So I'm going to be a little bit general, if that's okay, and it may or may not all apply to you. But what is the value you give or provide your clients? Well, peace of mind. Protecting them from a financial catastrophe, helping them to create a sound financial future, providing them with confidence, allowing them to create a life in the future that they want to have, that they want to live, allowing them to do what they want to do when they want to do it. You're helping provide them with confidence. You're helping them to create a legacy for their family, their children, charity, what have you. But really, more than anything else, you're helping them feel good. about themselves. And that's the greatest thing you can ever give someone. And in exchange for this, you're making a very healthy fee. In fact, in any free market-based exchange, and when I say free market, I simply mean no one is forced to do business with anyone else. In any free market-based exchange, there are always two profits, the buyer profits and the seller profits, because each of them come away better off afterwards than they were beforehand. But here's the thing. This didn't happen. You didn't earn the business because you were focused on your fee, because you were focused on the money. Not at all. You earned their business because you were focused on the value you were giving them. The money was, well, simply the reward for that. This is why we say that money is simply an echo of value. Money is an echo of value. It's the thunder to values lightning, which means really that the key is the focus must be on them. The focus is on bringing immense value to others. The money you receive is simply a very natural result of the value you've provided. But when we say this about this focus on others, isn't that, just kind of, all nicey nice, but not the real world of business? No, it's absolutely the real world of business. It's tapping into the most universal laws of human nature, why people do things. I think Dale Carnegie said it best, really, in his classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People. In fact, I think this was the underlying premise of his entire book and of his entire teaching. And that's where he wrote, ultimately, people do things for their reasons, not our reasons. Ultimately, people do things for their reasons, not our reasons. Or as I like to put it, nobody's going to buy from you or do business with you or invest with you. Nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet. No, nobody's going to buy from you because you need the money. And nobody's going to buy from you just because you're a really nice human being. They're going to buy from you because they believe that they will be better off by doing so than by not doing so. And that's the only reason why anyone should do business with you, with me, or with anyone else. So, with all that great, immense value you give to your clients, plus the excellence you bring, the consistency you bring, the attention to detail you bring, the empathy for them that you bring, and your appreciation for them, wow, you're giving much more in value than you're taking in payment, while making a very healthy profit. That's the law of value. Now, the law of compensation, law number 2, says your income is determined by how many people you serve. So where law number 1 says give more in value than you take in payment, law number 2 tells us that the more people whose lives you touch with the exceptional value you provide, the more money with which you'll be rewarded. One of the greatest ways, of course, to touch many people's lives is through introductions and referrals. There are many great benefits of working a referral-based business. 4 of them that come to mind for me is, number 1, it's simply easier to set the appointment because you're going in on borrowed influence. Number 2, a price or fee is less of an issue. Now, that doesn't mean it's not an issue or a non-issue, but it's less of an issue because of the borrowed influence and borrowed trust you're going in with. You're already positioned as a professional, as a financial professional. And you're able to sell on high value rather than low price. See, this is key, or low fee. When you sell on low fee or low price, you're a commodity. When you sell on high value, you're a resource, a trusted resource. And that's what a referral allows you to do going in. Now, benefit number 3 of working with a referred prospect is it's simply easier to complete the transaction, or, if you will, close the sale. Why? And that's through borrowed trust, or what we call vicarious experience. No, this person's never done business with you before, but the person who they know, like, and trust, who referred you, said, this is the only person you need to see. He or she will take great care of you. They know their stuff. Their company's fantastic. They're always there for you. They'll put your interests first. They will have your well-being at heart. And the fourth benefit of a referred prospect is that this person's already of the mindset that that's how you do business, because that's how they met you. So in their world, you're a financial professional who meets their prospects through referrals. You sell on high value rather than low price or low fee. You complete the transaction and you are referred to others. And later in this program, we'll talk about how to ask in such a way that you greatly increase the odds of receiving some fantastic high quality referrals. So that's law number 2, the law of compensation. Law number 3 is the law of influence. And the law of influence says your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Again, counterintuitive, counterproductive sounding at best, perhaps Pollyanna-ish at worst, right? Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Absolutely. In fact, the greatest leaders we all know, the top influencers, the most financially successful financial professionals, this is simply how they run their lives and conduct their businesses. They're always looking out for the best interest of the other person. Now, let me qualify something here, if I may, though, because this is very important. I think it can be easily misunderstood. When we say place the other person's interests first, we certainly don't mean you should be anyone's doormat, a martyr, or self-sacrificial in any way. Absolutely not at all. It's simply, as Joe, the protege in the story, the go-giver, learned from several of his mentors, the golden rule of business, the golden rule of sales says that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. And there's no faster, more powerful, or more effective way to elicit those feelings toward you from others than by genuinely moving from what we call an I focus or me focus to an other focus, looking for ways to, as Sam, one of the mentors in the story, advised Joe, make your win all about the other person's win. And when you do this constantly and consistently, and you become known in your community for doing this, you will be that center of influence. You'll be that go-to person. So question, how do we immediately establish this trust and value when we first meet someone new? Now, again, this could be whether it's an inbound from some content you've put out, or from some introduction you've received. It could be from a prospecting phone call. It could be from meeting someone at a business social event in your town. It could be that you've met this person at your kid's ball game or the PTA meeting. It might be at a charity event that you meet this person. How do we immediately upon meeting someone new, again, communicate that value, communicate trust? And I think it comes down to something that I learned very early in my sales career. I was on the telephone a lot. Sometimes I was on the phone prospecting to set appointments. Sometimes I was, on the phone prospecting to create relationships. And other times I was on the phone, prospecting, creating relationships, and closing sales on the phone, depending upon what I was doing. And here's something that I learned, and it never failed me. And that's this: nobody ever hung up the phone on me while they were talking. An amazing thing, I know. When I was talking, they wanted off the phone. When they were talking, they stayed on. They were engaged. Hey, have you ever been in a conversation with someone who let you do practically all the talking? Didn't you kind of come away from that conversation saying to yourself, wow, what a fascinating conversationalist that person is? Well, it's the same thing. And it doesn't matter if it's on Zoom, on social media, or face-to-face in person. Okay, we can be that fascinating conversationalist. So just a few thoughts on how to go about the process of doing that. And this is really, it's connecting quickly, establishing value, creating that relationship, so that you can then do the follow-up and follow through that allows you to establish that know, like, and trust relationship in order to gain new clients and introductions and referrals. So let's say you're at and we'll go back to that charity event, and you meet someone, you just happen to be at the hors d'oeuvres table, you make eye contact, meet that person, you say, hi, Bob Berg. Well, use your own name, of course, has a lot more pull, but we'll use me in this example. Hi, I'm Bob Berg. He says, hi, I'm Gary Malashevsky. Hey, Gary, great to meet you. He says, great to meet you. Now, you ask Gary, what do you do, or what line of work are you in? Again, very acceptable in a conversation like this. Gary says that he is a vice president of sales of Acme Office Products. They sell high-end copying machines to companies, to blah, 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 blah. He gives you his big, elevator speech, and because that's what people are trained to do. He asks you what you do. I'm going to suggest you don't use any kind of elevator speech, not even a benefit statement. Let's say you're a financial advisor, a nice short benefit statement. A benefit statement's a very short, pithy, it's very other focused. It might be, we help people create and manage wealth. But I'm going to suggest you don't even go there. Just say, I'm a financial advisor with Oceanside Investments. Here's why. Because at this point in the conversation, at this point in the relationship, Gary's interest in you and in what you do can be summarized in 3 words. He doesn't care, right? So right now, don't even bother with the elevator speech, the benefit statement. Just tell him what you're going to focus on him. You're going to invest 99.9% of the conversation with Gary, asking Gary questions and listening, okay? Because that's what Gary's interested in. And the specific questions I'm going to suggest are what I call feel-good questions. Now, feel-good questions are simply questions that are not intrusive, they're not invasive, they're not salesy, they're not prospecty. They simply make this person feel good about themselves, about the conversation, and about you. They very quickly develop a powerful rapport. Now, I've got 10 questions in my arsenal. You'll never have time to ask all 10. You'll have time to maybe ask 2 or 3, and that's it, okay? So, but let's start out with these first couple of questions, and then one very special question. If you will start to use these questions in any new conversation, you will be amazed at how much this person wants to know about you, how much they want to get to know you, how they see you as a person of value getting to know. So we know Gary sells copying machines. His position is vice president, but he's still on the street selling. And the first feel-good question would be, Gary, how did you get your start selling copying machines? Or a little bit more elegant way to ask would be, how did you get your start as an office products professional? Now, this is not a particularly clever question. It's certainly not a slick question. In fact, it's really pretty mundane. How did you get started selling copying machines? But it's a question people love to answer. Why? Because you're making them the star. You're focused on them. You're asking them to do something that nobody else asked them to do. Most people are going to try to, sell him their product or service, right? Selling each other hats is what we call it. But no, not you. You're asking Gary to share his story. He's never asked that question. His own family has never asked him how he got started in his business, okay? And here's you, who he just met, who's asking him to tell his story. And we want to listen actively, and it's amazing how many people really do have interesting stories. So he's answered that question. And now the next question is sort of a follow-up to that. And it's, what do you enjoy most about what you do? Now, it might sound more like, wow, you must have had some fascinating experiences. What do you enjoy most about your work? Or what do you enjoy most about what you do? What do you enjoy most about the office? Right? However you want to answer. But here's the thing. This question flies in the face of so much traditional sales teaching, where we're taught to immediately, find that person's pain, reach into their heart and tear it out so we can come to the rescue with our right services. And not, of course, in terms of finding a person's pain, Well, there's a certain legitimate time and place where that's the case, where you'll do it tactfully and kindly, but you will have to help them see that and how you can help be the solution to their issue if that's the case. But no, right now is not the time to do that. The relationship has not yet been established. Uh, right now you want to have him associate you with joy. So rather than finding his pain, find his joy. What do you enjoy most about what you do? Imagine taking the opposite tack, right? So Gary, tell me, what do you just hate most about what you do? Right? And while we're at it, how about this wretched excuse for a life you live? No, not a feel good type of question. So no, let's find his joy. So you've asked a couple of these questions and a nice conversation has developed, a nice rapport has begun. Now it's time to ask what I call the one key question. The one key question that will set you apart, that will distinguish you from everyone else he's ever met. And this question is not one of the 10 feel-good questions. It's its own separate question to be asked only after the initial rapport has begun to be established. And the question sounds like this: Gary, how can I know if someone I'm speaking with is a good potential client for you? Or Gary, how can I know if someone I'm speaking with is a good prospect for you? Or how can I know if someone I'm speaking with is a good potential customer for you? However you would want to phrase it. Okay. Now, what have you done when asking this question? A couple of things. One, you've continued to impress Gary with the fact that your focus is on him, not on yourself. Second thing you've done, though, is the way you framed the question. His answer is going to help you to actually help him, and he understands this and he appreciates it. Let's run through an example. Again, he sells copying machines to businesses, and you say, Gary, and by the way, a good lead into this question is, Gary, I always love connecting good people with other good people. Tell me, how can I know if someone I'm speaking with is a good potential client for you? Well, Gary has to think about this for a moment because he's really never been asked that question before. And finally, he says, well, if you're ever in an office and you notice a copying machine, and next to that copying machine is a waste paper basket, and that waste paper basket is filled to the rim and overflowing with crumpled up pieces of paper, that's a really good sign that copying machine's been breaking down a lot lately. And that would be an excellent prospect for me. So Gary has just told you. He's shown you how to go to work and add value to his life. And that's very special to him. By the way, if Gary, or if this person you meet is not in sales per se, in other words, a good prospect wouldn't be, maybe they're the CEO of a company, they're in the accounts receivable department, they're an engineer, that whatever it happens to be, that prospects would not hold value to them. Same couple of feel-good questions, but the one key question might be, how can I know if someone I'm speaking with would be a good connection for you? Or how can I know if someone I'm speaking with is someone you'd like to meet? This one question is an absolute game changer. Now, I mentioned that I have 10 questions altogether. You'll only have time to ask a couple. But if you would like all 10 questions, I believe that's going to be posted in the chat. It's burg.com /10Q for 10 questions. So feel welcome to, you don't even have to download it. Just click enter and you can print it out and learn those questions and ask the ones that you deem appropriate. So, if you're somewhere where, you're meeting different people and you can then kind of introduce and connect people with one another, that's great. But if that's pretty much the person you're meeting and you're going to begin the relationship with that person, that's fine. The next thing I would suggest is to send that person a personalized handwritten note card to say thank you, and do this immediately. I suggest using an 8.5 by 3 inch note card. It's 70 to 90 pound cardstock, however you want to do it. But the key elements on it is you have your name, you have your company name, you have your of course, check with company compliance. We all know that. You have a benefit statement on it, which we discussed earlier, and you definitely have your picture on it because people think in pictures, but lots of white space. It's not a direct response piece. It's a thank you note. And it would simply be, hi, Gary, or dear Ann, or dear Ms. Johnson, or hi, Mr. Smith, or whatever it happens to be. Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you. If I can ever refer business your way, I certainly will. Or if you met at the kids' ball game, it might be, hi, Jennifer. Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you at our kids' ball game last night. I thought your Tommy and my Susie were the two best out there. What have you. Now, best regards. Sign your name. Then just put it in a. Remember, it's not a note. It's not a postcard. It's a note card. Put it in a number 10 envelope. Handwrite, hand stamp, not a meter machine stamp, hand stamp, send that day. It'll get to that on that person's desk the very next day or the day after. They will open it. They'll see your picture, and the warm, fuzzy feelings will immediately come to them. This is that person who was so kind and so interested in me and wanted to know how they could provide value to me. They're not saying it consciously necessarily, but that's how they feel. And what you've let them know through doing this is you're the type of person who takes action. You're very competent. You follow through. You're the type of person that they would like to do business with and refer to others. Now, if you'd like a copy, or not a copy, a sample of this, just go to, and I believe this is going to be put into the chat. It will be Burg, BURG.com/note card. And you can just you set it up as mine, or set it up your own special way, however you would like to do that. Now, you can also connect with this person on social media. You want to always find ways to bring value to them, sending information to them that isn't even about your business, but sending information that they might find helpful. Ann's daughter is a star soccer player, so maybe you find something online, a soccer camp for young soccer phenoms, and you don't send it to her through an email attachment, but print it out, attach it with a paper clip to here. Hi, Ann, I remember you were saying your daughter, Sally, is a great soccer player, found this article, thought you might find it to be of interest. Put it in a number 10 envelope, hand stamp, send it. Do you think she'll find you to be a value-based person in your life? You also want to connect people with one another whenever you can. Whenever you can refer people, that's wonderful. Set up an infrastructure with all the people you know in your sphere of influence. When you do post content, again, check with compliance. But what you really want to do when you do this on LinkedIn or other places is make it so that you're bringing people into the conversation and asking people to comment and what do they think of, and the more you can create a community with people, the more of a center of influence you become. Now, what I'd love to have you do, since I want to move now to where we actually, excuse me, ask for referrals. And so we're going to kind of skip past some of the follow through. But if you'd like those, there's going to be a link that's going to be posted that you can actually go through a 22-part, and they're all only about 3 minutes each, a 22-part series where I'm going to take you from the beginning of meeting someone as we started today, all the way through what we're going to do now and in between. And my suggestion is go through it as many times as you'd like in order to really make that information part of you. Now, though, let's go to where we have a client and we're going to ask for introductions and referrals. And we're going to do this in a way that we're going to dramatically increase the chances that we receive wonderful, high quality A-list referrals. So let's say in this case, your client, her name is Ann. Now, Ann, she is the CEO of a mid-sized company. She does very well. She's already a very high net worth person, and she knows you, likes you, trusts you. She's invested with you. And now it's time to ask Ann for referrals. Now, by the way, you don't have to be doing business with someone yet in order to ask for referrals. As long as the know, like, and trust is there, you can ask, absolutely. But obviously, when you have someone who's already a client, that's even better. So with Anne, when we ask, let's make it very comfortable. Let's segue into asking by utilizing what I call the referral bridge or bridge phrase. What is a bridge? Well, in the physical world, a bridge is a structure that transports a person from one safe piece of land to another. In the referral world, a bridge is a phrase that transports a person from one safe piece of land, the know, like, and trust relationship, to another safe piece of land. That place where you can ask for referrals in such a way that you're comfortable with it and the other person is comfortable with it. So here's how the referral bridge or the bridge phrase sounds. And I'm going to use my language. You obviously you'll adapt it to your style, but the principles hold true. And it sounds like this. And as more and more of my business is now through introductions and referrals, I find it helpful to partner with my clients and friends such as you. Can we take a few quick minutes and run past the names of some other people I might also be able to help? Now, let's look at the words that we're using. Let's break it down as to why this is so powerful and so effective. When you say, and as more and more of my business is now through, or as more and more of my business is through introductions and referrals. So you're cluing her in as to what you're going to be asking. We always want the other person to be comfortable with the process and not have to guess. I find it's helpful to partner. Partner's a very strong word because you're giving this person part of your success. You're giving them buy-in to your success. Remember, they know, like, and trust you. They also know that you can be of help to people who they care about. Okay. I find it's helpful to partner with my clients and friends such as you. Now, this next part of the phrase is very key. Can we take a few quick minutes and run past the names? This is what I call fast language or quick language. We're not saying it fast, but the words imply correctly that we're not going to take up much of her time, right? So listen to these fast words or quick words. Can we take a few quick minutes and run past, okay? And then the names of some other people I might also be able to help. Notice I said might also be able to help. Why not? Definitely. Don't we have confidence in what we can do? Sure, but we know that not everybody's going to be interested. And we want to make sure that Anne feels very, very comfortable with the fact that we're never going to make her look bad by being pushy or coming on to, too strongly when someone says they're not interested. Okay. So again, and as more and more of my business is through referrals and introductions and referrals, I find it helpful to partner with my clients and friends such as you. Can we take a few quick minutes and run past the names of some other people I might also be able to help? By the way, if this person's not yet a client, it might just be the same beginning. And then I find it's helpful to partner with my friends such as you. And then can we take a few quick minutes, run past the names of some people? You just leave out some people I might also be able to help. Now, she says, sure, that would be fine. Or maybe she even reflexively says, well, sure, but I don't know if I'll be able to think of anyone. At that point, what you want to do is don't be defensive at all. Just let her finish that statement. Have just a very, calm, non-emotional look on your face. And then just say, oh, that's fine. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some hints to help you identify some really good people. And if you do, great. If not, that's okay too. We can always revisit it. Now, the reason you're doing that is you're giving her the out or back door, which is very, very powerful. People don't want to feel pressured. They want to feel autonomous as though it's on. So we always want to make sure this person feels very comfortable. If they're, let's put it this way, what I call the law of the out or back door says the bigger the out or back door you give someone to take, the less they'll feel the need to take it. Again, that's human nature. Always, we want to make the other person comfortable. So now we're going to actually ask for the referral or introductions. And here's where, most people sort of do it in a way that's counterproductive. And I did the same thing when I first started. And then fortunately, here's what happens first. We say, Anne, who do you know, or do you know anyone who would, and then we would complete it based on our specialty in terms of financial of our financial profession. Okay. Do you know anyone who do you know? And the person, they think about it and they think about it and they finally say, well, I can't think of anybody right now, but when I do, I'll let you know, or I'll call you. And that doesn't usually happen. It may once in a blue moon, but that's not what we want to build a career on. Well, it's really not that person's fault. See, when we say, who do you know, or do you know anyone who, we're giving them much too big a frame of reference. Most people know 250, 300 people directly or indirectly in their lives. So when we say, who do you know, or do you know anyone who, a collage of 250, 300 nameless, faceless people go dancing across their, they can't distinguish anyone. Tom Hopkins, who wrote the brilliant classic, How to Master the Art of Selling, explain, and he dedicated only half a page to this in his book, but wow, was this powerful. What he taught was to instead of generalizing, be very specific, gently funnel down people's worlds into small groups of people they can see. Okay. And this gives them the confidence. It helps set them up for the win. So we're talking with Anne. And obviously knows a lot of other people, really good, high quality, probably high net worth people in her sphere. And we also happen to know, because we've gotten to know Anne, we know she's an avid golfer. We say, Anne, I know you love to golf. She's, oh yeah, absolutely. Every Sunday afternoon, I'm out there on the links. And we say, do you golf with different people every time, or the same? Oh, same foursome, myself, Harriet Brown, Michael Cloud, Dr. Mary Ruart, the four of us, we have been golfing buddies for years. Boom. She's just come up with 3 people. Okay. Now we might at this point say, would Harriet or Michael or Dr. Mary be, or do you feel they would be, or however you would do it based on, your specialty. But, and here's the thing, it might be all 3, 2 of them, 1 of them, none of them. It doesn't matter. She's come up with 3 names. She's won. We've created the environment for her to win. And so now her memory is fine, right? It's when you're panicking, when you can't think of anybody, it shuts down. But now she's thinking of names. We also know she is a member of her local chapter of NABO, National Association of Women Business Owners. Now we know they meet once a month. We don't say, do you know anyone in your chapter? Could be too big a chapter. So instead we say, Anne, who in your chapter are you particularly great friends with, close friends with, or maybe you serve on a committee with, or sit next to every time? Well, now she's able to come up with 2 names. Boom. Would any of those? Maybe yes, maybe no. We also know she's the chair of the board of directors for her local animal shelter. We say, Anne, how many people serve on the board with you? And she says, well, there's 5 of us all together. I'm the chair. There are 4 others. Well, 4 is a good number. So now we just sort of say, well, Anne, picture those 4 in your mind, one at a time. Which of them, if any, because remember the out or back door, do you feel would be? Well, again, so now what happens is, as we're going through these, and we want to have them pre-planned before we even start the conversation, she's now able to think of people. And as she comes up with even 1 name or 2 names, now she starts thinking of other people associating with them. And now she's coming up with new names. Now you can also bring it out, people who she works with, people she went to college with, her neighbors, and other people who you can do that. The key though is that the more structured habit and the more specific the funnel, that's what helps that person to identify these A-list high quality people that they know. So that's just part of the law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Let's go on to the last 2 laws of the go-giver. Law number 4 is the law of authenticity. And the law of authenticity says the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. In this part of the story, Deborah, the mentor in this part, she shared a very important lesson she learned, and that is that all the skills in the world, the sales skills, technical skills, people skills, as important as they are, they're also all for naught if you don't come at it from your true, authentic core. But when you do, when you, as we like to say, show up as yourself day after day, week after week, month after month, people feel good about you. They feel comfortable with you. They feel safe with you. And why wouldn't they? They know who they're getting. You're the same person time after time. And this type of consistency, powerful, because people demand consistency in those they trust, and consistency is a huge part of authenticity. Now, authenticity is a word that often gets kind of bandied about these days, and I think it's misunderstood to a certain extent. I think people often they confuse authenticity with not having any boundaries, right? Just, well, this is who I am, take it or leave it, right? That's authentic, right? And and it's actually a pretty good philosophy if you don't want to have any great relationships and you pretty much want to be broke. But since that's not really what we're looking to to accomplish, I'd say let's not go that direction. Authenticity really means that you act congruently with your values. That's what authenticity is. Authenticity is that I think of that person with the authentic attitude. It's the person who says, well, I have anger issues and I yell at people a lot, and if I were to act any differently, that wouldn't be authentic of me. And we know that's baloney. That's hogwash. What that simply means is that person has an authentic problem that person needs to authentically work on in order to be a higher, better, more effective, authentic version of themselves. So we never want to let authenticity, we never want to use that as an excuse for not growing, but as a motivation for stepping into that highest element of our true nature. And then law number 5 is the law of receptivity. And the law of receptivity simply says that the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. This really means nothing more than understanding that we breathe out, but we also have to breathe in. It's not one or the other. We breathe out carbon dioxide, we breathe in oxygen. We breathe out, which is giving. We breathe in, which is receiving. Giving and receiving are simply two sides of the very same coin. They work in tandem, though that's not the message that the world around us gives us, is it? Right? From from the time, with many people, for a combination of upbringing, environment, schooling, news media, television shows, movies, certainly social media, we hear horribly negative messages about prosperity and abundance and money and business. And it can really get into people's heads from a very young age, and they hear these messages. And that's why when we see people kind of sabotaging their own success and they've done a great job of providing value to the world, and yet they seem to keep themselves stuck, only being able to advance so far. A lot of that is those unhealthy, unconscious attitudes about prosperity. So I think we need to understand that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. They work in tandem. One is neither better nor worse than the other. But what we know is this. Here's what we know. The giving comes first. See, that's a law of nature, human nature, but physical nature, right? We plant before we harvest. We sow before we reap. We give before we receive. But here's the thing. When we give, again, when we say giving, we mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others. When we give that kind of value to others, when we're able to touch the lives of lots and lots and lots of people with this exceptional value, when we're able to place other people's interests first, again, not in a self-sacrificial way, but in a way that builds everybody in the process. Okay? When we come at it authentically, and we continue to learn, and we continue to grow, and we put ourselves out there, we understand our weaknesses, but we lead with our strengths, right? And then we allow ourselves to receive, we will receive. We'll receive in abundance, we'll receive an abundance of kindness, an abundance of friendship, an abundance of love, an abundance of money, an abundance of referral business, an abundance of new business, often from right in front of our eyes. And sometimes, even from way out of left field, thinking it's, from out of nowhere, when really it's from out of everywhere because of the value we've provided, the seeds of goodwill, the seeds of great will that we've planted. But let's allow ourselves to receive. And if you feel, and I'm not saying this is the case, and I hope it isn't, but if you feel that receiving's been an issue for you, and that receptivity is a little bit difficult, as it is for a lot of people, absolutely, I had to work at that myself, okay? Then what I suggest is you really make a study of prosperity. There's some great prosperity teachers out there. They write on it, they blog on it, they do podcasts on it, videos, they teach on it. People like Randy Gage and Bob Proctor and Ellen Rogan and Ken Honda, Sharon Lecker, just what David Nagel, great. So really make a study of prosperity and get the good stuff into your mind in that regard, because we get the garbage about it from everywhere around us. So those are the 5 laws, the laws of laws of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity. What I'd love to do, if I may, is end with a story. It's a story that, in a sense, inspired the Go-Giver and the entire philosophy. And it's something that happened close to 40 years ago. It was about 38 years ago, because I got in sales about 40 years ago. I'd studied it. I'd done fairly well, but I had moved to a different company, and I was selling a high ticket item. And I started out in a slump and stayed in a slump for a while. And we know how discouraging that can be. And as a young salesperson, I made another big mistake. In order to get out of the slump, I was focusing on myself and the sale rather than the value I was bringing to my customers. And fortunately, there was a gentleman who worked at the same company. He was not in the sales department. I think he was an engineer, maybe. And he retired soon after. But I think he saw me sort of as Joe in the story, the Go-Giver, that I would co-author with John David Mann 25 years after that or whatever. And he saw me as that young, ambitious, up and coming, real after it person who was very frustrated, who was not living up to his potential, and whose focus was in the wrong place. And he said to me, Berg, he was a last name kind of guy. He said, Berg, can I give you some advice? And I said, absolutely, please do. I need it. And he said, Berg, if you want to make a lot of money in sales, he said, don't have making money as your target. Your target, he said, is serving others. Now, when you hit the target, you'll get a reward. And that reward will come in the form of money. And you can do with that money whatever you choose. But never forget, he said, the money is simply the reward for hitting the target. It ain't the target itself. And that's really where it came to me. That's when it came to me. That great salesmanship is never about the salesperson, right? Great salesmanship is never about the product or service. As important as those are, that's just not what it's about. Great salesmanship is about the other person. It's about that person who you're trying to serve, whose life you're trying to touch in a positive way. Really, what great salesmanship is about another human being's life being better just because you are part of it. It's been an honor to be with you today. Thank you so much.